What happens when the boundaries of respect begin to blur behind closed doors, and what if just if you found yourself lonely, angry, and abandoned in your own marriage? Would you still say no, or would you cross the line like I did? Don't judge me until you harm me story, and when you do, I want you to drop a comment below and let me know, was I just a broken woman looking for lover? Did I destroy a family? Hit that like button, subscribe for more deep real life confessions, and let's dive right in. My name is Serena, I'm 39 years old, and I've been married to Harold for 9 years. No way came into my life at a time I had just gotten out of a toxic relationship, seemed different, older, mature. Calm. He had a son from a previous marriage, his name is Jordan. At the time Jordan was just 15. Fast forward to today, and that boy is now a 23-year-old man, athletic, charming, and unfortunately very persistent. This is not a story ever imagined myself telling, but Ethapond. And it didn't just happen out nowhere. Started small, too small for to really take seriously at first. A longer than usual stare, a compliment that felt a little too personal. You look beautiful, Serena. He once said, lingering just a second too long. Elotted off Jordan. That sweet boochower. Talking to your stepmom, remember? Smiled and said, doesn't mean it's not true. I didn't take it serious. You, after all, boys will be boys, right? But it wasn't. Just once Harold worked long hours. He traveled for business every other week, often gone for days, and during those times it was just Jordan and me in the house. Sometimes we'd bump into each other in the kitchen. Late at night I'd be in my robe, he'd be in his boxers, grabbing a drink. Awkward moments, you bet. One evening, I caught him looking at me, not just glancing but really looking. You always wear that robe around here? He asked, standing in the doorway. He clutched it tighter. Why, is it a problem? Chuckled. No, just distracting. I should have shut it down, but I didn't. Maybe it was the attention, maybe it was the loneliness. You see, Harold had changed. He was no longer the man who's to bring me roses on Fridays or surprise me with breakfast in bed. He touched me, barely spoke to me, and when he did, it was usually an argument over Bill's work stress or me nagging too much. One night we had a particular nasty fight. He accused me of buying gungratal. Said I did nothing but stay home, never mind the meals. I made the laundry, I did the emotional support. I gave him constantly. That night, slammed the door and left for another work trip. I sat on the couch, broken, crying alone, and that's when Jordan came downstairs. He saw my tears and sat next to me. He yelled, "At you again, didn't he?" I nodded, unable to speak. Jordan gentle. I reached over and wiped my tears with his thumb. You deserve better than the way he treats you. His touch lingered longer than it should have. Jordan, this isn't right. I whispered. But it feels right, he said. He doesn't see you, Edo. I stood up, flustered. You need to go to bed. But the seed had been planted. The next day I couldn't stop thinking a thought moment about the heat in his iced softness of his touch. I hated myself for even considering it, but I also hated how my husband made me feel invisible. Days passed. Harold was still away. Jordan stayed in his room most of the time, but whenever we crossed paths, there was tension, a smoldering kind of tension. I was in the kitchen washing dishes when I felt someone behind me turned, and there he was, shirtless, his breath on my neck. Let me help, he said, reaching around me to grab a glass. Frozen. Me heart pounded. You're playing with fire, I said. He leaned in. Maybe I like oath heat. That night gave in. I wish I could tell you I resisted, that I was strong, that I told him to stop and reminded him of our roles, but I didn't. It was thunderstorming outside. The power flickered. I was curled up under a blanket on the couch when Jordan came in and sat beside me. We didn't speak. Wouldn't hap to his lips touched mine. Andy didn't pull away. What followed was a blur of passion and guilt, of need and confusion. It was reckless, it was wrong, but it was real. Afterward I sat on the edge of the bed trembling. What have we done? He asked. He just looked at me. What we both wanted. I didn't sleep that night. When Harold returned the next day, I couldn't even look him in the eye. I cooked dinner in silence. I avoided Jordan completely. But the damage was already done. Jordan kept trying to talk to me, kept texting, pulling, even sleeped a note under my door. I meant every moment. But I couldn't risk losing everything. I couldn't let Harold find out, so I cut him off cold turkey. I told him to forget it ever happened, that it was a mistake, that it could never happen again. He didn't take it well. He became distant, even moved out of the house a few months later, claiming he needed space. I knew better. I had broken him to Harold. Never found out, or if headed, he never confronted me, but the guilt never left me, neither did the memory of that night. I want to be clear. This is not a love story. This is a story about my stace, about loneliness, about what happens when two people cross a line they can never uncross. So now here I am, my years later, telling you my truth. Was I the villain? Was I the victim? Or was he simply human? What would you have done In me shoes, let me know in the comments. Want to hear your thoughts, no judgment, just honesty. And if stories like these make you think, make you feel, make you reflect, then please hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more real life confessions every week. This was Serena.